that is here that is an elite member. So elite, about to make an announcement. Announcement. New update to liquidity. Yes.
What's up, Ed?
So yeah, everybody that is an elite, drop a 1 if you're an elite person. All you need to do is go to your WAP and you can basically realize that you can refulfill your indicators if you have anything that's missing. Chances are you haven't had anything missing, but if you don't have the yearly DTT models and or the forever model, be sure to fulfill your access. The liquidity depth doesn't need to be, a new fulfillment. I just want to make sure you guys have all the tools that you guys are paying for. So at this point, what you can do is go to the indicators after refreshing your trading view and search up the liquidity depth for all the people that are in elite and premium. That comes with your subscription. So we just added a whole new revamp of the UI, a bunch of key settings, poisons, time models inside, and there's going to be a lot of key things that we're going to talk about today that will help you further understand the tool. I will also link the Help Center guide, which is the tool guide for the new update. So you have every single update explained. And if there's any clarifications needed from the Help Center, we're always appreciative of feedback. And all you have to do is just open a ticket and let us know. You can also do that in the general chat, so that would be awesome. And basically, at this point, what we'll do is we'll pull up the liquidity depth indicator, and Poison will, more or less give a rundown of, the features that he's wanted to, collaborate with us to add in, as well as some key features for everyone's versatility and the way that they can use it on their own. So it's going to be very interactive, and we really want everybody just to be able to pull up the indicator, the features, and the settings and kind of just walk through them to ensure that nobody has any outstanding questions by the time this stream ends. So that way we'll be able to post this on YouTube, and then for anybody down in the future that needs any help with the indicator, we'll use this as a guide, as a main source of reference. Obviously, you guys know that Poison has a lot of advanced knowledge. So at this point, this is probably going to be a generalized discussion of the new tool and some key features. I'm sure we'll get into some cool stuff. But as a general rule of thumb, again, you will know that there's a lot into this tool, and there's like I said, we'll go into different models and how to use different aspects of this awesome pack tool. So yeah, without further ado, Poison, the stage is yours.
All right, cool. Thanks, brother. So I'm assuming most of you guys have watched the last stream that I was on here in Toodegrees in the Escape Discord, where we spoke about a world of ranges, right? And what you guys don't know is that because of that stream, we now have a 2 degrees indicator that basically did all the job that I was doing, showing you with some makeshift indicators that I used. And 2 degrees being 2 degrees was having none of that. We needed our own, right? And we needed it to be the best out there. So this is where we ended up, right? It's been a grueling month and a half or so, but I think it's been worth the wait. Special thanks to Flux. Yeah, huge shout out to Flux. He's been on the ball from day one. The man's a machine. The man's a monster. So without further ado, let's get into it, right? When we did the last stream, what I needed to convey was the visualization of a range, right? So for example, we have a range, any range. I'm not saying choose a particular time frame. It could be any range. Most of you are aware of ranges. Most of you trade some sort of range, whether it's an hourly, in my case 15-minute. It could be any time frame, right? It could just be some random consolidation, whatever it is. We needed a visualization of efficiency inside that range, basically. So what has happened is, for my personal models, we came up with, you have a range and you have an open. Let me bring this down to 1 in case Cold Brew's inside here shitting on me for having a 4-point horizontal line. So you have an open, and scenario 1 would be the range opens and we start to trade upward away from the open. Most of you would be aware of something like this, right? You could use an hourly range, a 4-hourly range. There's lots of stuff, right? Lots of stuff. But the general idea is how do we open an hourly candle, 15-minute candle, 4-hour candle? How do we open this range? And how efficient is that range after we open it? And the 3 basic ideas you would have is if we opened up inside a range like this and we trade one-sided, when we hit the top of the range, either in time or price, the scenario that we would be looking for would be A, run the high of that range because it houses liquidity, and trade back to the opening price. You guys familiar with that? There's a lot of PEC stuff out there, all those stats guys trading hourly ranges and the efficiency of any hourly range, all of that. You guys are familiar with all of that, right? The simplest trade, you could use what's up 9? The simplest thing you could use, and we'll get into it maybe at the end or somewhere in there, is using stat map as well to guide you. So this is scenario 1, right? We trade, we open up, we start trading one-sided, and we take the high of said range, and then we look for an idea, or the idea is we look to trade back to the open first, or run the range low, right? Scenario 1. Afterwards, the range could have begun somewhere here, and then we get a move to the upside, like so, right? You guys are familiar with something like this. Scenario 2 would be we open up. Let me do this instead, right? Let me do this. That's 1 open. Scenario 2 would be we open up and we trade below the range, creating the range low. We then trade back to the range open. We start trading above it, right? Start trading above it till the end of time, whether it's price or time for this particular range. And we then trade back to the open like this, right? And this kind of understanding comes back to something that I learned while in TCM called loop logic, where when we're looking for range efficiency, we're always looking for how efficient this range becomes. So when we opened up and ran to the downside one-sided, this becomes an imbalance created. We then move up, rebalancing that imbalance. And when we trade back above the open, everything is running one-sided, it becomes imbalance. And we trade back to the open to rebalance that imbalance, thereby giving you an entirely balanced price range or efficiently traded range. Familiar terms? This is how we get the idea of ranges and range efficiency based on how we trade above or below or around the open. Scenario 2 would then either at efficiency, we create an up candle, CSD its low, retracement, and then expansion to the downside, right? Once the range is efficient. Or we create a down candle body, CSD its high, becomes a bullish order block. We trade the retrace and continuation to the upside, right? Simple. Scenario 3. We have a range. Let's see if I can copy this without looking like a total idiot. There we go. we open up. Let's say we open up at the top of the range here. And we start running one-sided to the downside. And then we start trading back up towards the open until the range has either again ended in time or price. What we would expect that when we opened up, ran one-sided to the downside, and then retraded or retraced back to the open, this should become an efficiently traded range. And we know that in an efficiently traded range, we would look for EQ, right? 50%. So the idea here would then be we take the top of the range, we trade back to EQ, and then we push up to the upside, right? Based on the range being efficient, there wouldn't be any need for it to go as low as the range low in order to move to the upside, right? So these, I want you to bear these three scenarios in mind, because when we start talking about the stuff that I'm doing and what the indicator can do, these should come in handy, right? So we'll just bring, what shall we do? Shall we leave it here? Let's leave it here for now, right? In fact, we'll take it out. You guys by now should have an idea of what I'm talking about. So in the last stream, I spoke about using the first 15 minutes of every hour as your asset range and determining what the hourly rotation would be inside that hour based on the efficiency or inefficiency of that range. So let's introduce the RDLD indicator, or it's going to be known as what, Josh? Liquidity, just Liquidity Depth Pro Plus?
Yep. So basically, just as a quick reminder for everybody, the range deviation tool is now a legacy tool. So basically, the range deviation has been cooked inside of the range deviation liquidity depth. So basically, now that one tool has all of the powerful features.
Both.
So you're basically getting two tools
Two for
in
one. Yeah, it's a twofer.
Yep.
It's a twofer. So getting into what the guys have cooked up, right? Pretty simple. When we get into the settings of this indicator, there was a lot of shuffling around of what should be where and when. The first option we see at the top is show LD. And what those are basically, if I toggle this back and forth, you would find that this would hide or show the boxes that you see on the screen. Whether it's the preset ranges, which we will talk about, or whether it's a custom range that you choose, this option at the top here toggles them on and off, right? You can also set alerts on these. I personally don't have alerts. I should. But again, you could toggle alerts on these and use those. When we go under type, we have the candle, custom session. We have this existed, I'm assuming existed already in the previous indicator, OSFL.
The one that's
setup
the
for life.
For life.
Yeah, one setup
from
for life.
ICT and the original teachings.
Correct.
And if you hover over that tooltip right to the right of the type, you'll be able to see the one above it real quick.
Sorry, yeah. There you go.
And it'll show you all the times that the one setup for life already basically predetermined.
Predetermined,
So,
correct.
yeah.
So what they've done is they've added inside here the ability to do a custom session, and they've also added an AM and PM poison AM and PM session. So this particular instance of my indicator has the poison AM session. So what you would see then is every 15-minute range starting at 8 a.m. being marked off right up to 12 p.m., right? This is what it does. And what it also does is now it tracks whether the high or the low has been traded to. And if it hasn't, it starts to extend it out in time to a point until it is traded to. So what this basically gives you is a bird's eye view that if I'm trading, let's say around here, I know that we have the 9:15 range below us untapped, and I know that the 8 a.m. range below us is untapped. So it's not random that when they create this 10 a.m. range here, for example, the high was not tapped, so it extends out in time. The low gets tagged, and immediately we trade back to the high, right? It's not random. After we trade to the high, we then form the 11 a.m. range, opens up, runs lower, runs higher, trades through, comes back to an efficiently traded range. There was no immediate need for it to go back to the high right here. We start trading down to where? You as a liquidity depth or elite user would know that this is a level of interest and this is now a level of interest for you. So all you need to do is find your favorite entry model, whatever it is you have, especially here, right? This is the main reason why I needed the visualization, because we're always looking for an OB that forms in liquidity. In this case, the liquidity being the 10 a.m. to 10:15 range high. We have this single guy right here, which closed above the high. We then had a change in the state of delivery right there. This becomes an order block candidate right there. And we have price trade back to it, falls off a cliff, right? Simple stuff. So other than being a point of interest or liquidity depth indicator, I'm using it more visually around the opens and to see where order blocks should form and do form. Most of the time, and you're going to see this for yourself, we're looking to take one side and run to the other. And after we take the other side, depending on whether the objective has been met or not, we'd be looking for a new range to be created and new objectives to be met, or we have retracement to previous untapped range lows like you see here, right? Now, this is the AM session. The preset is all I've shown you, the poison AM session. You click this and these boxes are going to pop up at the back. We don't have any need to put any custom sessions inside here, because when you start clicking on custom sessions here, it's no longer going to show unless you click custom sessions under the type. So if you don't have custom sessions clicked under the type and then start doing the custom sessions, it's not going to work, right? So straight out the bat, if I'm using my first iteration of the indicator as a poison AM, I don't need to play around with custom sessions inside here because the presets are already in the back like you see here. There's no need for me to play around with that. The time frame is 1 day, and personally I think the previous liquidity pool standard is 5. I push it up to a maximum of 20 just so I have a further look back on previous days ranges and seeing whether those have been mitigated, tapped, or are still untapped. We have an option to auto color the session right here. You can hover over it, bullish or bearish, right? Based on price action, it would auto color the session. You have the option down here for highlighting the session. So again, if I uncheck this, what it's going to do, just give me a sec, is not show anything at the back, right? When you do click it, like you see here under the tooltip, it draws a background for each session, candle, custom, OSFL, or poison. These boxes visually group price action within the session range. Turn off if you prefer a cleaner chart, right? The session EQ, again, you have an option. This should have been a little darker just so you can visualize the session a bit better. I requested, I think with great despise from Flux, that I needed liquidity labels to be provided for these session boxes. So apart from using a custom color on these boxes, I needed to look at which sessions these were by just looking at the screen without having to hover over the time and try and figure out what time these sessions were that I was looking at. So liquidity labels, again, this would be the color down here. You have an option for very tiny, normal, large, or huge. Yeah, I noticed the session highlighting bug there. What it actually should have done, I'll mention it to you guys, is that if I clicked on session highlighting, and this may be a recent bug, it should have removed the boxes and kept just the lines, the upper lines. Am I right, Josh? That's a small...
Yep, absolutely.
Yep,
and this is just like a very important thing that everyone needs to know as well. Is like, we're human, right? So all we need to understand is that if you guys have small things that you're noticing, you just need to report it to us, and we'll be able to get all of that situated. We aim to provide the best, quality of service to all of you guys. And sometimes, when you can realize the settings in the UI, each toggle, when they're independently selected and or not selected, may or may not affect the specific input. So when there's specific, let's say, combination of inputs that may cause an error, we really ask you guys just to report those, and that's what helps us become stronger as a community. So we appreciate you guys understanding
so
that.
That just may just be me, Josh, because I'm still using the beta version. I think both Flux and Forged are able to toggle on the session highlights with no issue. I think on the actual published liquidity depth on WAP, right? So that just may be a poison problem, not an indicator problem itself.
No, all good. Right. Just want the community to know that we're always constantly evolving and improving, so that if you always have something, please, there's a dedicated channel called Bug Reports, and you can submit a bug report that just going inside of that channel and doing /bug report. And we're going to be attentive there, and we're always willing to hear out all the bugs and just kind of ask for your settings when you encounter the bug and the date of which it happened, so that we basically can identify it ourselves and recreate the issue to solve it. So I appreciate everybody understanding that.
Right, cool. So we've covered most of it based around the Poison AM session, the liquidity styling. You have options for the labels. You have options for, depending on your eyesight or how old you are, I suppose, how big or how small you want them, and long form, short form, or none. Those would then show up, like if I put them huge here and I put them long form, these should become pretty big, right? Yeah, pretty big. I'm not sure who needs this in their life, but it's there, right? It's there. Right, so that ends the covering the Poison AM session, which is a preset inside the indicator under type, Poison AM, and the same would go for the Poison PM session. So just for that, I have a second instance which covers the Poison PM session, and I just want to turn off one thing really quickly. Let's just turn that off and that off. Is it just my computer that's...
And for everybody, and for everybody asking as well, just so you guys are aware, if you guys have any, questions about the layout for what, Poison has, he will be sharing a layout later. 100%. Once everything just gets solidified and, perfect for you guys will just be able to get the link copied over to your own trading view. And then from there, have all the settings that you need. So.
Yeah, 100%. Right, so the Poison PM session would then start from 12 p.m., 15 minutes, 1300, 1400, and then 1500. and it would give you basically the same things that you are seeing for the AM session. You could do the same things for the PM session. Those are all preset, so there's no need to fiddle around too much with those, right? The fun actually starts when we start to get experimental, and let's see what this here is, right? For me, as being South African and trading London, I have most of the London trading times input here. So I would then go under custom sessions, and from 2 a.m. every 15-minute candle, I like my 2 a.m. to be a different color, red in this particular case. So you would notice that on the chart, I can at one glance look at where the 2 a.m. range is, because personally for me, that would set the tone for the day. Whether we are above or below 2 a.m., I would either move bullish or bearish. So under custom session, again, you can set the colors for the ranges that you want. Session highlighting, again, that's standard. Session EQ, liquidity labels, and you have the option to color the high or the low, basically the lines that get extended out in time, right? So for custom sessions, not very much different from the Poison AM or PM. The only difference is you're going to be clicking custom custom sessions under the type. You are going to make sure that you click show LD. If you don't have show LD, these boxes are not going to show. Again, previous liquidity pools, for me, I have that set to 20, and then you input all of your custom sessions that you want. Color them as you want. You can choose to auto color the session. I choose not to. Session highlighting on, session EQ, choose your color. Again, liquidity labels as per previous, nothing too fancy there, and that's that, right? And I did the same for the rest of them, which is from 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, up to 8 a.m., right? Where the Poison AM session would start. So that's it for the custom session side of it. Let's hop on over to liquidity depth type. When you enable this option, whether you are a futures trader, whether you trade Forex or bonds futures, whatever it is, there is an option to enable the liquidity depth and the points that you would allow, either percentage. For NAS, it would be a value, so 10 points, 20 points, 25 points, whatever you want. And what it would actually do is, when enabled, it would give you these lines. In this case, because I've enabled 3 of them, I'm not sure if you can see this very clearly. It actually gives you 1, 2, 3, right? Maybe I need to make that a bit darker so you guys can see it. It would give you 3 lines, and what those values of those lines would then be. Let's see if this helps the situation. What the value of those lines would then be for futures or NASDAQ would be 10 points, 20 points, and 20 and 25 points above the high and the low of the range, right? You could go on over, set that to a percentage point inside here. If you click percentage, you could set it to tick or pips, input that, and then it would give you the same lines according to the inputs that you put in. You could go for percentages, you could input the percentages, and then it would then draw these lines that you see here just for the actual liquidity depth that you choose, right? So that's the liquidity depth type. Time distortion, I'm just going to hold on to this for last, right? I'm going to hold on to this for the last, because that's sort of the magic trick that not everyone's aware of. Here's where Cold Brew's zipper gets tight, right? It's the range deviation section, show RD. What this does is it allows you to set a custom range, right? In this case, I'm using a revised overnight session here, 6 to 9:15. You can increase the number of historical sessions. Extension types, I have none because I don't have any alerts set on. And what this would then do is give you, let's get rid of the liquidity depth type for now. What this would then give you is the range of your choosing. In this case, there we go, 6 to 9:15. Let me input that there, get rid of that, input that in there. Right, 6 to 9:15. It would then draw out the range for you, high-low EQ, like it does with the custom ranges, except you have the ability now to project standard deviations, right, using the body of the range. You can show the midpoint of the body of the range. It also simultaneously allows you to project wick. So wick to wick of the range and show the wick midpoint of the range. So if I had these set at different colors, we would then visually see a difference on the chart where you can see the highlighted section here, right? Why is this on UTC minus there? That should be better. You can visually see the difference in color here between the wicks and the bodies. And what it also does, and for more inherent value, is if I'm on a 1 minute, obviously it's using 1 minute wick high and wick low. If I'm on a 15 minute, it's using a 15-minute body, wick high, wick low, so on and so forth. It would project, like you see here, automatically switches to 15-minute candles because I'm on a 15-minute time frame, shows the body range and the wick range of this 6 to 9:15 range. And we then have the ability, it comes with the standard deviations built in, right? So after you go down there, you go down a little bit more here, you can choose your style. You can choose to show the standard deviation labels if you must. That's what you're seeing over here, and we'll talk about how they show up. The labels show up with a W next to it based on wicks and a B next to it based on body. So you know at a glance that this is 0.25 standard deviations of the body, and this is 0.25 standard deviations of the wick, right? But it gets a bit more interesting. Besides having the presets inside here, you could then go in and put any standard deviation of your choosing. Say I wanted to put in 2.33 inside here. So we go next to 2, hit a space, 2.33, comma, space, done. What we now have on the chart is a 2.33 standard deviation showing up. Depending on whether I choose body or wick range or both, it would show up on the chart, and you should be able to see it all the way up here, 2.33 in body and 2.33 in wick. But it gets better. Let's scoot on over down here. You have the ability, right? If that wasn't enough for you, you have the ability to then further subdivide this. If you notice on my screen right now, you're just seeing lines with either a W or a B next to it, depending on the standard deviation. But when I go on and I click on body deviation zones, for example, give it some time to fill in, it has presets. It is now giving you an entire range between the 2 and the 2.5 and the 4 to the 4.5 because that has been preset. And if I go further inside there, all the way down here, and I click on wick deviation zones, it would do the same thing for the wicks and give me the zones based on the standard deviations inside here based on the wicks, right? You guys still there? My screen seemed to have froze a bit. Let me just reset this. There we go. Yeah, okay, cool. So why would we need all of this, right? If you're like me and you love standard deviations or cold brew and you have fun projecting these ranges or standard deviations, well then, if you noticed, when we have a particular range, a custom range in mind, in this case 6 to 915, I am able at one glance to look at where a high or a low of the day, in this particular case for this range, or a high or a low of the session should form based on this zone or these zones right here. 1.5 wick, 1.5 body. Pretty neat. At least I'd like to think so. So we have the ability to, yeah, surely and purely random, Spook. Surely and purely random. I mean, it's so random that you could go back and you would find that the high of this session yesterday came in at 4 to 4.5. Also, very, very, very super random. Or you could go back and look at the previous day and find that, well, this came in at 4 to 4.5 standard deviations for the low of the day. Again, purely random stuff. You could go on and on and on, go back and see how random this becomes every day, right? That's up to you. That's up to you. Like, this is not, surely it can't be any coincidence that the low of the day formed at exactly these this standard deviation or this zone, right? Can't be. Not possible. I mean, speak of the devil and he shall appear. What's up, Nick? Right, so we've covered, most of you understand the key features here around the range deviations. I have the range size toggled off, and I have the range labels toggled off. I mean, if you're that kind of crazy, you could put them on and it would show you what range and what the size of that range was. You could play around with the colors as well, purely up to you. We've covered showing body and wick of the range. We've covered showing the standard deviation labels. We've covered standard deviations themselves. Let's have a look at well done, JD. Right. And if that wasn't enough, they've also gone and cooked in alerts into the indicator at either the body or the wick, depending on what you choose. So you don't necessarily have to be glued onto that screen. You could, let me just find the extension type up here. There we go. You can extend the deviation zones as well with the extension type. Alert standard deviations right here. You could do that. So basically, you don't have to sit and wait for price to come to the zone for you to do actionable things. Set the alert, walk away, come back, and like Nick would say, slap it. Just slap it. Right. Slap it and move on. 100%. For me personally, I don't use the tables, but that's just me personally. You guys may have some value for that, where we showing the range deviations data table and liquidity depth. Liquidity depth data tables, you can toggle that on. Everything is here, right? Everything is in here. So we've covered basically range deviations. And when you start to put all of the madness together, it can get messy depending on whether you trade London or not. I could have the AM and PM sessions on here for now. And yes, Mudram, yeah, we have, LOL, we have the beta, yeah. 9 a.m. to 9:15 for the range deviations. You could choose any range of your liking, right? I'm not saying choose 9 to 9:15. I'm not saying choose any of the other ones. Let me just do, is that the right one? It's this one. Sorry guys, I just had this on a preset, not updated yet, and as you can see, I'm still on the beta, but here we go. You could have or play around with things that look like this. I'm just going to toggle off the power of threes for now, and maybe at the end we'll talk about how that could help you. So Mudram, you asked about the 9 to 9:15. There we go, right here. I have this for this particular one. What I did was I'm on the Poison AM session, so it gives me all of the sessions from 8 a.m. onwards to 12 p.m. And what I then went and did to get it a different color and to project the range of standard deviations is I came into the same instance of the indicator, slapped the show RD on, chose 9 to 9:15, increased the historical sessions, chose the color that I want right here, wick range or body range, and show standard deviations, show the labels. And what that then does is, again, projects the 9 to 9:15 range. And again, super random that we probably get a 2.33. Let's zoom in there just to make sure how random this actually is. Right there. You get a 2.33 wick standard deviation for the high of the session, right? Again, purely coincidental. So this is how I use the 9 to 9:15 and the range deviation and projecting those with either wicks or bodies or both, right? If you want your screen to get a bit more busy, you'd turn on the range deviation zones, right? I'm not sure if Nick, do you use the range deviation zones, or do you keep it like this, just a bit neater? No, I mean, like, do you actually draw the zone out? You have it drawn out? Okay. So just for that benefit, we would go down here and we can click that on, and then it should draw the zone in, right? There we go. So now you have the zones that you predetermine, and again, totally random. He's always yelling, always yelling. When is he not yelling? There you go. Thanks, Flux. There we go. So that gets extended out, and you can see there, again, random. So is everyone on board and clued up so far with what the indicator can do in terms of the preset AM and PM sessions, the choosing of the custom sessions, how to make them show, how to color them, how to draw the highs and the lows of the sessions, the labels, what the liquidity depth type is. And again, you now know how to, drop a 1 or 2 if you have if you're still here or have any questions. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah, all good on my end. If you can't send a message right now in the chat, that means that you have not verified your Discord role. That is for us to prevent scammers and spammers from entering our Discord and randomly trying to hurt the community. So as a safety measure, all you have to do is verify your role on WAP, and that's how you can get access to message. But it seems like there is a lot of ones in the chat, so that's really, really awesome to see. It seems like there's a lot of people that are still with us and don't have necessarily any questions. There's a couple of people that want you to share your layout, and I know that that's been more or less something that's going to be requested, and time and time again, we will be able to help you guys.
100%.
Once the whole full migration over from Poison has his own time to get from what he has now in the betas to the current version, he'll be able to share the charts and the layouts, and you guys will be able to see his settings with all that. But just to guys go over, just as a quick summary, really just went over the 6 to 915 range deviation or range projection of timing, and as well as the 9 to 915. And then also the AM and PM session toggles, 2.33 as a specific deviation that some people like to monitor, as well as like a reversal signature that, again, people like to monitor at 2 to 2.5, that area, as well as to 4 to 4.5. So that's kind of like a quick summary of what we got going on over here. Again, a new feature, again, is that liquidity depth as a percentage, so you can get creative based off of that. So I know a lot of people, based off of the times that we have circuit breakers, have specific models that after price, violate specific percentages, so you can get creative over there. So that's really, really, really exciting. There's a plethora of strategies and or visualizations that you can create with this tool, and that's why it's, again, big shout out to Flux for cooking this up with collaboration with Poison, and really we want to just be able to create tools that have a lot of versatility for you guys, just to be unique and share your own perspective on price, and that's what you're seeing here and with Poison. So really what I want to kind of just go over lastly, which I think is kind of long awaited, is the time distortion rebalancing. And if there's a way that everybody's with us, they drop to 1, we really want to be able to talk about that, because I know that that's a feature that some people will be like, whoa, I've never seen that before, right?
Yeah. Nick, just show me which version you're using again, real quick. Just want to make sure that it's...
Yeah, you can just search. You can just search it real quick as well. Yeah. It's all already, everything's released.
I should have
so
access.
You can go to the
I should have access. Frank, again, the entry type model that's based on what's familiar with you. I teach a whole bunch of entry models. I think I have a course coming up probably next week sometime on the final entry model that I probably would ever do, or that you would ever need, right? Based on advanced CSD. So if you want, you could just DM me or drop by my Discord and we could sort that out. But let's get back to entry models are the absolute last thing you need in this setup, right? Magic. Personally, I don't use the liquidity depth types, so it can stay on auto, but I just don't have it toggled on. I don't have it toggled on. I use something that's slightly different and will probably make its way. In the future. Well, right. Let's get back to. So we've covered, again, ones if everyone in the chats all clued up about how to show the boxes in the back, how to choose your custom session, how to color it, liquidity labels, what the liquidity depth type is, how to show a range deviation, how you can use the range deviation section with your normal AM or PM preset or your custom candle session. right? How to use wick, again, setting the extension type like we did over here under range, under the RD. If you have it to none, it's not going to extend it out in time like you see here. So you now know how to extend these out in time, days of the week filters, how to use the body range, the wick range, or both, show the standard deviation labels, custom standard deviations like the 2.33 that I've personally added in, the body deviation zones, wick deviation zones. I know the opacity was something driving Nick crazy like 2 days ago, and he would be the one to ask for an update like 2 days before something launches. But anyway, I digress. Right, again, setting the alerts on, and all that's left is once you have all of this on your chart, right? You've seen the power of projecting a range of your choice, whether it's the 9 to 9:15, the 6 to 9:15 like I've showed you. I personally use most of my base times like the 2 to 2:15, 8 p.m. to 8:15, 9 to 9:15, and 12 to 12:15. Those are the ones that I mainly project. And again, it becomes a total random thing where, for example, in London, 2 to 2:15, you're getting inside a 1 to 1.5 standard deviation manipulation below, and price starts to F off. Mayhem, let's not even talk about that, right? I just didn't want to come here and be embarrassed using a dark chart because he shat on me so much last night for actually using a dark chart. So what I actually had to do was spend about an hour and a half this morning totally redoing all of these colors that you see on the screen here, right? Because I switched over back to a light chart, and all of the colors that I had on the dark chart didn't work out. Yeah, I'm happy. I can see my little candle. Finally. Yeah, no one needs Spook. No one needs that. No one needs that kind of PTSD in their life. Right. Again, Nick's asking for it. Eggplants in the chat. Let's go. Time distortion. Here we go. Let's see if we can take a preset, like any preset that we choose, right? And we can go down to the time distortion rebalancing section. And I've asked them to add the 1600 to 5 a.m. Range inside here as standard. Basically what this is, it's the close at 1600 and the open of the overnight session at 0500. And what that actually is something called the extended trading hours, or a void if you're from TCM, where we don't consider any price action between 1600 and 5 a.m. to be valid. So if I turn that on, and if I click this little button right here, time distortion rebalancing, what this does is, and we're gonna take a look right now, I have the 1600 to 0500 range on, and I have another one which I personally use every day, is the 11 to 12 a.m. session, and I'm going to show you how that works. So what you're seeing on chart right now is you're going to have to go to the indicator once you've got the time distortion rebalancing stuff on. You're going to have to go to the visual order and just bring that to the front. So what it does is you can see here from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. there's a distinct void in time, And what it did was at the 11 a.m. open, it dragged out in time until this gets tapped a time distortion rebalancing line. Right here, 1100 time distortion rebalancing line. So what I tend to do, and we may just even see this live, is that anything after 12, right? I'm looking for, me personally, in this one of the models that I'm looking for, is a trade back to the opening price at 11 a.m. or the high of the 11 to 11:15 range right there. All because, for me, the price from 11 to 12 is a macroless period from the study group that I came from. And if you switch it off, what you're going to find is that you can treat this as a gap, and we all know that gaps need rebalancing at some point. So the trade idea would be trading anything after 12 back to 11. Does it work? Let's go and have a look at a few more examples if we can. Here what you're seeing is, again, a distinct void in price or time from 1600 the previous day to 5 a.m. the next day. And here we have the 1600 TDR. Give me a sec, Nick, give me a sec. 1600 TDR. And that model, just like the 11 to 12, is basically at the open at 5 a.m. I'm looking for the trade back to the 1600 close of the previous day. That's all that I'm looking for. And once we get that happening, you would find, just like in this 1100, you can see it here from, when was this, Monday? Here we go. Monday was total random, and you saw Kane longing. Let's see if I can switch on a few more right here. You saw Kane long something down here, and I mentioned this to Nick that it's, again, totally random, that if I zoom in right there, where did price trade to before close? 11 a.m. opening price. It now has a tick next to it, right? It has a tick next to it because price has now traded back to the 11 a.m. open. We've now checked that off. More importantly, we also have this tagging the 11 to 11:15 range high, and that was a cool, let's have a look, 244 points. Let's have a look here. Again, there's a 1600 close here. We didn't trade back to it on Monday. We did get back to it on Tuesday. Yep. It has a tick next to it telling you that that particular session has been rebalanced. Let's look at the previous day inside here. Time distortion. There's your 11 a.m. open here. At 12, what do? We trade back to 11, ticks it off, and you're more or less going to look at this every single day, or at least I do. Here's last Thursday, 17th of April. Here's the previous day, 1600. There's the open being drawn out in time. We open up here. What am I looking to trade back to at least? 1600. And time distortion rebalancing, you would see that it drew it out in time with a tick next to it the moment we traded back to it. And then again, of course, you have the other confluences like the standard deviations, which also get you back into that range. Are you guys still there? Everyone's gone a bit quiet. I don't see any movement in the chat. Yep, okay, cool. All good? Does this make sense? You guys may have your own time distortion. I mean, look, you could use it to block off the extended trading hours on your own chart and use the feature to come back to the new day opening gap or whatever, right? That's purely up to you how you use the feature. Again, when you have these turned on, again, it becomes purely random that when price starts to move and you have these visual tools right there. Nick, don't hate me for this. I'm going 4-point. There we go. 1100 right here, and this was probably the high of this particular session. Love you, Nick. Love you. Love you long time. Right, again, you have the 11 to 12 time distortion, which is a preset. You have it checked. You're looking to trade back. We don't trade back to it here. We have 4 p.m. rocking up. Next day, we open up at 5 a.m. Where are we in relation to the previous day's 4 p.m. close? We trade back to it, check it off. At this point, what are we looking to trade back to? An untapped, unchecked previous day's time distortion rebalancing line at 11 a.m. from the previous day. We go there. What do you notice lines up with all of that? You have the standard deviations from 9 to 9:15 giving you, again, totally random 4.5 wick standard deviations, the high of the session. Do I have other stuff switched on here? Let me just switch all of these on. There we go. Is time, yeah. When you say the value of the TDR changes when I switch time frames, which value is that, CK?
I think you might be referring to the price levels.
The actual price level?
Time distortion.
Yeah, I think it's probably
so
because of the 1 hour, 5 minute, 15 minute. That's something Flux may able to answer. I did also notice when you do switch over time frames, there's a slight variance. Flux, you may be able to answer that better than I can. You can type that out in the chat if you can. Maybe something you need to look at. But again, do most of you understand? We could change it to do so at the moment. It takes in the chart's current time frame, close or open. Okay, cool. Yeah, so what I'm interested in basically is the open, right? Yeah, I understand. Whether I'm on a 1 minute or a 5 minute, there'd be a slight difference on where that candle open or close in relation, right? But you guys get the idea of time distortion and time distortion rebalancing, how we could potentially use it, how the indicator does a great job doing it for you. I'm just looking at Nine's picture really quickly. Yeah, it's got some nasty things brewing in that picture right there. So the preset again is what I've asked them to do, because this is not a feature that's widely available, blocking off certain pieces or prices in time and then looking for price to trade back to it, right? So treating certain things as voids or gaps in time. As you get more familiar with all of this, you're gonna see that it's not random where or why we trade to certain levels or prices.
So I can just give a brief overview as well for anybody that might
Sure.
still have some questions about this. So if you pull up the settings real quick, really all it is that you can block off a specific period of time. So even if you don't use the time distortion rebalancing, let's say you don't even want to look at the charts at a specific time, you can just put that there, and then that can just be a simple thing on your charts as a visual appearance to, hey, I'm not even engaging in price at that time. So like, let's say there's some people that don't even want to trade the overnight session. They can just block that out on their charts and they have a nice, unique view. If you want your own custom RTH on ETH as a quick toggle, you can also do that. There's a couple of things that people look for in terms of price gaps between opening prices, and you kind of saw that between, let's say, the 11 o'clock. I know that 9 does something similar as well. And there's also, when we put it like this, it's like you can get creative in finding specific opening prices or closing prices to base a model off of as an additional confluence. So when you have these specific sessions, whether or not it be the overnight session, a specific time range, a specific time that you don't trade, it'll give you more additional data and or remove the data for you to do that. So that's what this feature is for. And you can use the opening and or closing price.
Yep. I think it's not a widely known concept, but we'll make it great. There's already a few guys inside here cooking up a few things with what they can do with time distortion and time distortion rebalancing. Let me just switch this off. Right, so when you put all of the fun things together, right? When you do all of that, what does it do? What can it do? Let's have a look. Let's get to a bit more current pricing here. Right, so depending on whether you're trading London, New York AM, New York PM, or you're trading New York AM, New York PM, and then the Asian sessions, you could input all of the Asian 15-minute ranges inside there. And once you have that, you would be able to, at one glance, see where liquidity needs to be taken and why, right? Based again on range efficiency, whether you're using the 15-minute ranges, whether you're using the opening price of this revised ONS, for example, you understand that everything above and below and above, right up to this point right here, is balanced. Everything below it is imbalanced, and we need a candle body back to this line. So again, not random that they print a candle body back to this line, making this entire range now efficient because we have an equal number of up and down candles, down candle bodies inside that range. There was no need on this particular day to trade to the high of that range. EQ or 50% or wherever the rebalancing needed to have occurred does occur, again above the 9 to 9:15 range, and off to the races. There we go. Now what this allows you to do is play around, whether you're an intraday trader or not. You don't necessarily have to have this on an M1. You could have it on any time frame of your choosing, right? But you know that when price starts to or needs to move, you have a base on whatever that is, and we work from the base. It's not random that this bottom ticked right here below this 2 a.m. range and went for where? Right here. And I suspect that if I had more history going back, and I can try and do something like that, that it's also not random that this may have hit some kind of pool to the left. Right, we get the 1800 open, the high here, and as you go and play around with my AM and PM presets or your own custom ranges, you're going to find that more and more what you're trying to do is allow the first 15 minutes in this case to create the range. And when we look at how the rotation of an hourly candle should form in terms of an AMD, we could take the start of an hourly candle to the end of an hourly candle. You can visually see that. Put on something that gives you something like an AMD, which basically just divides this into AMD, 3-part series. You know that the first XX00 to XX20 is giving you the accumulation. XX20 to XX40, I mentioned that the last time, is giving you the manipulation. XX40 onwards is giving you distribution. But these are all visual things that I'm trying to get this indicator to do for you. So there's not so much of work where you now have to physically go and look at things. You know that more or less in the middle of this time to this time, there should be some sort of manipulation either below or above said range before distribution should occur. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's way clean, 9, way clean. Any questions you guys have? Go back and look for yourselves that the highs and the lows that form here and the way that these get tapped off, not random. Yeah, so the London model, basically using the indicator, would be 2 a.m. as the base. Anything above or below 2 a.m. Why I like 2 a.m. is, and why it's red on my chart is, firstly it's the start of an H4 candle, right? The 2 a.m. H4 candle. What do we have? We have price opening up, trading away. What do we need to do? Trade back to, decide what we want to do, and then move away. So if you have visualization on where the opening is at 2 a.m. of the H4 candle, you know if you're bullish, everything below this here is discount, or most likely the wick low of an H4 candle. Yeah, London and Asia are not preset currently. What you can do is you could have, there's an instance here where it draws out the London and Asia sessions for you inside here under the OSFL, one setup for life. You can see it here in green. This is the Asian session. This is the London session. This is the 2 to 5 kill zone. And all you're doing inside here is playing around with where we are in relation to 2 a.m. open, right? Where we are in relation to 2 a.m. open, because if we're above the 2 a.m. range, you're going to find most likely that the number is going to go up. Go back and look at this for yourself. Don't take my word for it. If you're above the 2 a.m. range, the number's going up. Go back. And this is why I like to visually see this. If you're below the 2 a.m. range, there's it right here, numbers going down. Right? Yeah, poison models within the one setup for life. It's very easy. You have an instance that just shows you the one setup for life. There's the Asian range right here. There's the London range right here. You do with this what you need to, right? Go back depending on the number of historical sessions you can look back. You will find that the 2 a.m. will set the pace for the day. If you're above it, you're bullish. Below it, you're bearish. And the range EQ itself at 2 a.m. Should offer support and resistance ideas. Again, not random. Above it, bullish. Below it, bearish. What's up, Rafa? I'm just trying to get to a point where we get more sessions coming in. Let's do that for a second. you're going to find days where you can ping pong all day, right? You can ping pong all day. 2 a.m. opens up, trades one-sided. What are you doing at this point inside London or the beginning of ONS? I am looking for at either 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. to trade back to the open at 2 a.m. because we've opened up, we've traded one-sided. I'm looking to trade back to 2 a.m. and if it rocks up around 6 a.m., well then that's the start of a new H4 candle. I'm looking for 6 a.m. to sweep the 2 a.m. low, like you see here, and if it's bullish, head the other direction. So all we're doing is giving you strong visualization of where you are in whatever range. I'm not telling you or forcing anything down anyone's throats. What's up, Celox? But what I'm telling you is that let's do this, right? Forget, go back and test the AM. If you have the indicator, go back and test the AM and PM sessions and how often price needs to, or how often it does this, right? Takes a high and then heads for a low, creates a range, takes a low, comes back for the high, and vice versa. Now, with me being a London trader and a New York AM and PM session trader, you're going to find most often that visualization right here. There's 2 a.m. here. What are we doing? Opening up, trading one-sided. 6 a.m. rocks up. Here, we don't take it. In the H4 candle, we form the wick low of the H4 candle because we've traded up one-sided. We come back, rebalance. What do we do next? We trade back to the open. So this brings you back to the beginning of the lesson where I drew something like that and I showed you whether we're trading below, imbalance, rebalance, imbalance, rebalance, giving you an entirely efficiently traded range. You can do with that what you want. What I like to personally do is let the range form, give me an OLR, right, below it. I'll trade to the high of that range or to any untapped highs above. So I know this is a point of interest. We form this range. This could be a point of interest. And you could catch a lot of decently sized moves using just this simple technique. Sort of a ping pong technique. But generally what I'm looking for is a trade back to the opening price, whether that opening price is an hourly range or it is the 15-minute ranges every single day, Ed. Now, because this is part of the Elite collection and we do not want to copy anyone else, I'll show you a few more things. Here is an hourly range, right? Every hour, back to back every hour. You'd find that the previous hourly visualization right here is that the previous hour's EQ acts as support or resistance. You would find more or less where the highs and lows untapped are, right there. And when they do need to be traded to, the...
Is it just got you back.
Are you there?
Just got you back.
What's up, Nick? Can you guys still hear me? Josh, is everything okay there? We hear something. I'm not too sure what I'm hearing. Hearing you say.
Yeah, I think you're going in and out. This is when the sauce comes. That's why.
Usually what happens when the sauce comes
a little
in.
rowdy.
Usually what happens when the sauce comes in. Can you hear me now clearly? Is it still messed up? One's in the chat if you can hear me. Two's if you can't. This usually happens at this part of the stream. Breaking up. I'm not sure what's going on. Really not sure what's going on. Yeah, stick my laptop out the window. Josh, am I still breaking up? Do I need to maybe?
No, you're
All good.
you're
All good.
you're better now. You're
Yeah.
better now.
Weird.
More
So weird.
stable.
Yeah, but did you notice how this all usually happens when something's about to drop? Every single damn time. Every single damn time. Yeah. So. Yeah, probably that time of the night. I can't blame the load shedding or electricity cuts. So not sure what it is. Not sure what it is. So because this is it's part of the Elite package, and it is meant to be used in unison with all of the other tools, what I've gone and done is added in the power of threes, right? I use it for the candles itself, but mainly what you could use it for is, if you look on the chart right now, you're going to see a ton of opening and closing prices, because what that's further doing for me is giving me the openings and closings at midnight, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 2 p.m., 10 a.m., 2 a.m., all of that, right? So this for me also visually, I can visualize a trade back to the 2 a.m. Price line. Let's have a look at what Rafa is doing. Yeah, Rafa is doing Rafa FIB stuff, right? So I'm using the power of three to give me the particular openings that I want to have on the screen. Can we talk liquidity depth? Let me just hop to that question. Yeah, that would be a Nick type of question, and I think he's answered it 50 to 70. We haven't, we're concentrating on the Liquidity Depth Pro Plus. We haven't gone into how these can all be used in unison. I've shown you how we use the power of three to plot out the opening prices that you want to have on the charts with your liquidity depth. But you could also add in stat map. Add in stat map to every single 15-minute range, like I've mentioned the previous time, and go and put on a 15-minute interval. Put stat map on 15 minutes and see what that does for you. Whoops. Any other questions you guys have? Rafa's always coming in with that sauce.
Well, I've been definitely. So, is there anybody that has any outstanding questions about the tool, any features that were released, any potential improvements or suggestions? You can drop them in a ticket. Be happy to hear about those. Bug reports, please put those in the respective channels if you find any. And we look forward to seeing everyone else's charts as they utilize the Elite Collection tools in unison.
Yeah, so in addition, what I will be doing is, did Nine do it? Did you mention that Nine did it for his DTT stuff? I think a few minute short videos on each of the sections inside the indicator on YouTube. I'll drop that on there so you could go and get an entire glance at what the indicator does, and then you could go and look at each of the individual settings or sections as probably a 5 to 7 minute video. How to have the hour show 15 minutes. Can you show it in gold? Sure. You could show it in gold. Levels forms, highs get taken, lows get taken, lots of stuff. Yeah, so
Poison,
yeah.
Poison, you can see there's a lot of love in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I didn't catch your message originally, and I'm wondering why the hell is everyone dropping a heart in the chat here? Did I miss something? Yeah. So
we appreciate you a lot. We appreciate you a lot. So I know that there's a lot of love in the chat. Everyone appreciates you being here, and they also want to be able to see a little bit more of how you utilize the tool on YouTube and in other future advanced live streams as well. Now that everyone's more or less familiar with the tool, we can definitely get into
100%.
some more teachings. And
100%.
I just want to highlight and basically note how the progression of basically the live streams has initially been for you being here in Escape. And it's like for anyone that's like a true OG, like for anyone that's known us from the start, please drop a 1, because this is not, Poison's first live stream by any means in Escape. He's been with us for a very long time, and we appreciate him a ton for all the knowledge that he's been able to share with the community, the impact that he's been able to have for the updates, and being able to be up here and, just being able to share his time with you guys. That's just something I appreciate everybody being able to recognize. So.
Crazy. In August there was 300 people in streams. Now only 100. Yeah, we don't want it to be too many, Dan. Not everybody needs to know what the source is, and that's one of the reasons why personally you won't find me out there shelling my own private Discord, because I've always said that 100 members max. I'll never give out more than I need to whoever doesn't need it, right? If you know what I do and what we do inside Escape, then you know what we're capable of. You can come and find us in the nooks and crannies that we hide, and do the things that we do. But I can tell you I've collected a lot of the guys inside Toodegrees over the time that I've been here, and I appreciate them. Not everyone's ready for the source. Nick will tell you that.
It's important to keep it simple too, as well. Yeah. So like this tool highlights the simplicity, and it also gives versatility, and you can make it as advanced as you want, and you can make it as simple as you want. You can have it with one box and 2 lines, or you could have multiple lines and multiple sessions. So that's the beauty of the tool. So I think without further ado, if there's anybody else that doesn't have any other questions, I kind of just will give it to Poison as for last minute, comments or anything, and then maybe some things to look forward to in the future.
Yeah. So obviously there's a few things that I would like to add, and the more people that we get on, remember this indicator is not the first of its kind, right? But it's the best of its kind. That was the goal at the outset, and all thanks to me and my dumb ass a month and a half ago coming into 2Degrees live, using some makeshift indicators to draw out some ranges, some Nephew Sam stuff, and I had like 50 instances on my chart, and the actual progression of where I started with the 15-minute ranges and what it's gotten into and what it's actually become is quite outstanding. So big ups to Josh and Flux and to himself for getting us to where we didn't know we needed to be, basically. And all because of my dumb ass using a non-Toodegrees indicator. Now we have the best of them all in one. And I have a few ideas going forward that we'll implement most likely into the indicator. And of course, if any, the more people that request more features, I'm sure the guys, Flux may be not too happy about it, but I'm sure the guys at some point take note.
We'll get it done. You know,
Yeah,
it's all about strengthening the community, and you know, if it's for the love and heart of everyone out of goodwill, and you know, the
100%.
suggestion is specifically, you know, gonna help the community at large, then we will never stand in the way of that. We'll always make an effort to do that.
Yeah.
So.
So again, go and test it out on any type of asset. I've tested it out on BTC, crypto. I've tested it out on GC. I've tested it out on crude indices. Go and test it out and make it your own, right? Stocks, not so much. To be honest with you, Eve, I haven't tested it out in stocks, but the things that I have tested it out on, I mean, look at this, right? Where would you find the ability to understand or know where price should trade to after taking a certain range high or low, right? Again, it's not random when I told you at the beginning of the stream that price will open, run one-sided, and seek the opening price. Go back in your own charts and look at this for yourself. And if there aren't any more questions, you guys can head over to WAP and check the tool out for yourself. If you are looking for a discount code, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give it out here. My discount code. You can DM me.
Absolutely. No, yeah. For the live stream special, go ahead. Absolutely.
All right, cool.
You guys,
So,
if you don't have the tool, the Elite Collection and or for the liquidity depth, as well as any other 2 degrees tools, you guys can use Poison's code. I'll put it up on the screens for 20% off for the
There we go.
lifetime of you guys being a subscriber. So,
Yeah, that's all
you
you
know,
need
if you
to.
liked and
Yeah,
enjoyed the stream, that helped out Poison, and you know, it's awesome to see the whole team just getting together because there's a lot of development time as well as thought that went into the tool. And again, if you guys are inside of the Elite Collection already, then you know you have the tool. Awesome. For anybody that doesn't have the liquidity depth, again, you can use the code on the screen for 20% off.
yeah. I think what I'll add on to that is, if anyone is using the code and shows me proof of purchase, I think I'll throw in a month's free mentorship with me and all of the access to my personal WAP. So there's 45 days. Okay, 45 days. 45 days as per Cold Brew, Nick. We'll make it 45 days. I don't know how I'm going to do that on WAP. We'll make it 45 days free access to the mentorship if you go out and purchase the Elite, and maybe 30 days if you purchase just the liquidity depth. You can't, okay, 30 days. 30 days for Elite and 15 days for liquidity depth, since WAP's being a pain.
So, you know, I know there's some people in the chat that are already kind of saying, they're like, oh, what if we already have the Elite? So, and if we're able to, and to make it right, Poison, is there a way we can just do a giveaway for, you know,
Yeah,
let's say
100%.
some monthly
100%.
access for 3 to
100%.
5 people that are
Yeah.
the Elite right now, and see if we have a chance with that?
Yeah, 100%. So I've got my guy Expo in here. He's one of my mods, and he'll make anything happen in WAP that needs to happen. And if we want to give away a few things, yeah, sure. What's up, Tu? Good to see you here. I hope I've explained or done a decent enough job explaining what the indicator can do, what it has done, and why the liquidity depth indicator is the best liquidity indicator currently available out there. I'm sure the guys that have been beta testing and all of the other mods would agree that this is packed. Nick may even agree that this is the only indicator you may actually need. Yeah, and then this is just the beginning, of course, as to how I use, well, not the beginning, an intro on how to use the indicator. Obviously, there's a few more subtleties to it. You guys know where to find me. Anytime. Much love, always. Yeah, you guys know where to find me. And if you do purchase with my discount code, just drop me a DM. Myself or Expo, my guy, will make it happen. Yeah, I'm glad.
So for anybody,
Rafa, I'm glad.
For anybody that's with us here, I just dropped it in the chat. You guys can enter here if you're an elite, and you will be able to get into a giveaway for a potential to get 1 of 5 monthly access passes to Poison's group.
100%.
And this is just going to be again for 30 days, 1 month. So if you are elite, basically once you win, you'll just open up a ticket. I'll add Poison to our ticket system
100%.
to be able to communicate with you, and you'll be able to get situated from there. You don't have to worry about DMing him or anything like that. Keep it safe inside of the community. And again, if you're not an elite and you're pressing the button, we appreciate you, but please don't spoil it for other people. We do plan to give away one of the basically the liquidity depth for basically 3 months, and it'll give you an opportunity to, anybody that doesn't have any of the tools, to kind of just have a nice glimpse and a new view for a quarter and see how that more or less transforms your trading. So
awesome. So should we DM you if we become elite with your code? Yeah, you can, Tony. If you don't have the elite and then you purchase the elite with the code, then just DM me, and myself or my team will make that happen for you. We honor everything said by myself, and apparently what Nick tells me to do, we do that too. So yeah, that goes out to any and all of you. Purchase the elite or liquidity depth and drop me a DM. And if you already have the elite, then enter here in the chat.
If you already have the elite, you'll enter the giveaway. So that's
giveaway.
pretty much where we're at. So if you already got the elite, then you enter a chance in the giveaway, and there's 5 people that'll be there. So there's 40 entries right now, assuming that everyone's an elite. It's a pretty good chance. You got 1/8. So nice chance opportunity. And again,
100%.
if you are not an elite and you're pressing the button, you're just kindly, not really kindly, but you're kind of just ruining it for other people that have the elite. So please don't click the button if you don't have elite. We will be doing one more giveaway in the next, let's say 35 seconds after this one ends, for someone that doesn't have any of the tools and wants to try out the liquidity depth. We'll give it to you for 3 months, and that'll be our prize to you. So shout out to Javier, I think. So going green, you're not an elite member. Padilla, you are. Bala, you are. And CTL, shout out to you. All right. So good to see you in here, CTL. I do want to know your thoughts as well. We just updated the liquidity depth. I don't know if you saw the whole presentation, but it'd be awesome to have you get some feedback there.
100%.
So yeah, awesome. Going green, unfortunately, you're not an elite, so you can't be a winner there, but sorry about that. But the giveaway will be created now for one person. It's going to be a quick giveaway. It's going to be 60 seconds. And basically, you'll have one winner of the liquidity depth for the quarterly, and basically anyone can enter. All right, so there you go. Anybody can enter. You know, if you have the elite, it doesn't matter. We'll still give you the liquidity depth for a month, even though it's included. It doesn't really matter. It's just anybody can enter. We'll make it easy. And yeah, that's pretty much our giveaways. We appreciate everybody being here. Yeah, going green. If you are going to be upgrading to elite, you can definitely use Poison's code. Support him from the stream, and then again you'll be able to get into his group as well. So that's awesome. Shout out to you.
100%.
Appreciate you responding. 100%. CTL, just either you can either DM Poison or just open up a ticket in our Discord. We'll figure it out.
100%.
All right.
Expo,
you got 9 seconds.
Yeah, Expo, you could just
6
get to CTL if you can. Expo, thanks.
Oh my goodness! Would you look at that? I think that's pretty crazy, honestly. All right, going green. If you don't go out and buy a lotto ticket today,
I think
my brother.
What the hell?
What are the chances of that? So you got 1 in 40, I believe, or it was 5 in 40, or 5 or 41, and then 1 in 30. So, brother, yeah, dude is lucky. So,
dude is lucky as hell.
GG to you. I can't take that one away. Oh, that's actually funny. That's funny.
That should be
Shout out to you, bro.
Illegal. I'm sure there's some social experiment going around this on whether he should keep that.
So that's for anybody that is not aware, the markets can stay irrational longer than you stay liquid. And would anybody think that would happen? I don't think so. So there you go. You want to go ahead and look at the GC. It's kind of giving me that parabolic vibes. I'm not calling a top, but basically I'll drop a little bit of sauce at the end of this real quick. So for anybody that wants to study on GC, I basically want to see the Asian range set a high for at least 2 days before I could even say that anything's like shifted. And the day before that, it was I think on the 20th at like 3 p.m. I was like, all right, this is starting to get ridiculous. I'm getting text messages from everybody and their mothers. Like, this is kind of the time where I just realized that full parabolic notion just kind of starts to get retraced. And 200 points already in a couple of days is obviously nothing when price goes up thousands, but just keep an eye on that daily and the weekly of gold. That's it's looking pretty interesting. This is the time where people want to be paying attention. Again, when things are at parabolic natures, this is when swing traders also like to position themselves, so just be mindful.
Right. Anything else, guys, before we wrap things up? I will most probably see some of you guys next week or so. I am doing the final entry model that I probably would ever do. There shouldn't be any more entry models after this. That link is also live on my WAP. It's called FTE. So if you guys do want to come by and see what that's about, it gets you access, I think 1 month's access to the group and the model. And I'll see you guys in there. And for those of you who have entered or who have purchased the Elite, you can drop me a DM and we will get you hooked up with that 1 month's mentorship for free.
Awesome. We appreciate everyone's time today. And I guess we'll get the recording up and running whenever we can. And Poison will be able to help us out with that. There are a couple of people, I want to say a couple, probably like 50 to 100 that have pretty much messaged me and be like, Josh, where's your live stream? I've updated them. They're not in the database, so they actually did get uploaded to YouTube today if you do want to check them out. So at that point, that's kind of up to you guys. And yeah, that's going to be posted.
Yeah, I see that, CTL. I see that.
Yeah.
All right. For those asking where will the recording be, obviously it's on my end. I will upload it to my YouTube. Josh, you'll hook up some graphics there at some point for the YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
believe I can send it to you right now. It should be already done.
all
So
right.
yeah,
Cool.
the
Yeah.
thumbnail should be ready to send over to you.
Right. Cool. So I will do that now, and give me about 10 minutes, and you should be able to rewatch the recording. I'll post a copy inside the general chat. How's that?
Awesome.
Right, that's it. Again, appreciate the team, appreciate all of you. You guys have any questions, you know where to find me. And again, I'll see some of you next week on my FTE model, and I'll see most of you familiar faces inside my Discord anyway. Cool. Cheers.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you. Hopefully, you had a wonderful time with us today. God bless, be safe, and we will talk to you all later. Bye-bye now.
Bye.